guys, welcome back to my channel. Today I wanted to do a little bit of a review and race recap of the Disney Princess Half Marathon that by we I mean my husband and I, just ran a couple of weeks ago in Disney World. So this was our second Disney race, our second half marathon. We ran the Wine and Dine Half Marathon in, I think it was 2015? Yes. No, 2014? I don't remember. It was a few years ago. And that race takes place in the fall at night. It starts at like 10 or 10:30 at night. And now the Disney Princess Half Marathon takes place in the end of February, and the race starts at 5:30 in the morning. And aside from that, it was a totally different race experience, so I thought I would walk you through it. So the race is on a Sunday morning, like I said, at 5:30 in the morning. It's a much bigger race than the Wine and Dine Half Marathon. So Sunday morning, we got into Orlando on Friday, mid to late afternoon, I would say. And then we went and picked up our race stuff right away before we even checked into our hotel. And you go to the ESPN Wide World of Sports complex and you pick up your race stuff. So you have to pick up your bib, and then you get your shirt and, you know, and your race packet, and we got these luggage tags. I'll take a picture of those and insert that. But we pick up those things, and then there were two areas where we could go and shop for merchandise. Now, the first one was like generic running, not generic, I mean non-Disney specific running gear. They had energy supplements, they had headbands and things like you would find at any pre-race expo. And then in the official merchandise tent, they had Disney specific things. In the official merchandise tent, they had Disney specific race things. They had Disney shirts and cups and lanyards and pins and all kinds of stuff. They had costumes, so you could buy a full race costume there. So they had that stuff there. So I didn't get anything. I was a little disappointed by the official merchandise tent. There's a lot of space compared to the amount of things they had and the number of people there. So I will say that it was not crowded at all. I don't know if they've really cut back in recent years, but I have seen some YouTube videos of the official merchandise tent in other years, and it was like a madhouse. And so I'm not sure, but I was kind of disappointed because not that I wanted a madhouse, but I was expecting a lot of things. I'm like, oh, this will be great. I'm definitely going to get some stuff. And there was like nothing that I wanted. So that was kind of a bummer. So anyway, we got our stuff and then we left. And then our plan for the parks. Now, if you've watched my other video on the Wine and Dine Half Marathon, I had said that we had overdone it in the parks. So before the Wine and Dine Half Marathon, it's at like 10:30 at night, we visited Hollywood Studios in the morning and then went to Epcot via boat, and stayed at Epcot till like somewhere between 1 and 2-ish, I want to say. Okay, so I knew that we overdid it last time in terms of standing, walking, that kind of thing. So this time I knew I wanted to I wanted to take more of a break. So this time with the race being early Sunday morning, we visited a park on Saturday morning and stayed until around lunchish, somewhere between, I would say, noon and 1:30. And then we went back to the hotel. We took a nap, and then we had an early dinner reservation at Boatwright's. We were staying at Port Orleans Riverside for the first part of our trip during the race. And Boatwright's is the table service restaurant right at Port Orleans Riverside. So we had like somewhere between, it was 5 something. Our reservation was at 5 something, maybe like 5:15. It was early dinner. We ate dinner, and then we went back to the room, got everything ready. You know, we laid out all of our clothes and everything for the race. I also brought along a green spiky massage ball for my feet and a small foam roller. So I had that all ready to go. I made myself a list because I knew I wasn't going to be very like mentally sound when we woke up at 2 something in the morning to like remember to do all these things and bring all these things. So I wanted to make myself a list. So we did that, went to bed, pretty early. We did take sleeping pills because we're not gonna fall asleep at like 8 o'clock. And I think I only took like a half a dose so that I wouldn't be like enough to make me a little bit sleepy, but I wouldn't be, loopy and out of it in the morning, if I recall. So we got up very early in the morning, and then for the pre-race, when you go to the pre-race expo, they give you all this information about transportation and stuff like that. And it says that you have to be on the bus. Runners have to be on the bus no later than 3:30 in the morning. But it also said that race transportation started at 3 in the morning. So I'm like, okay, that's not a very big gap. So we got up, I don't remember exactly what time, probably somewhere between 2:15 and 2:30, and then did all of our stuff. I had breakfast in the room. I had purchased, there's a man walking his dog. I had purchased like Luna bars, and we had like Cheerios and milk and stuff like that, that we kept in our room beforehand, that we stopped at Super Target. Yes, Super Target on the way before even stopping at ESPN. So we had those things in the room, so we ate breakfast. And I had a little pouch full of my energy chews, and I had my inhaler in there, and I had any last minute medications I might need, things like that. And I put that in my gear check bag along with some sandals, because I knew I would want to change out of my running shoes right as soon as we were done. So we did that. We went and got on the bus. We saw a couple of people walking. We stayed in the Royal Guest Rooms, which is in the mansion side, so we had to walk across the bridge to the main building. And there was a couple of other people that were walking to the buses too, but it wasn't a ton. The buses were super well organized. There was a cast member. There was a cast member out there. I don't know if they actually work for Disney or if they were a volunteer, because there's tons and tons and tons and tons and tons of volunteers for this race. But there was a cast member / volunteer out in front by the buses organizing, telling people where to go. Very well organized. We got on the bus and we left within probably 3 minutes of getting on the bus. And then it dropped us off at I'm not gonna say the starting line because that's a different story, but it dropped us off in the starting area. And from where they drop you off, you walk a ways, and then there were, they have these big signs you can take pictures by that say, it's a Disney Princess Half Marathon, and there's a princess next to you, so you can take pictures there. They had a couple of tents of things, which I thought was interesting because there wasn't anybody in them, but we ended in the same place, so maybe it was for after. I don't know. I didn't see. I kept going, and then there's tons of porta potties, and then there's a gear check tent. So we hung out there just sitting on the ground for a while because, we were there by 4, and I'm sure it was before 4. It was probably closer to 3:30, and we didn't have to start going to the starting line till, I don't know, after 4:30, maybe around 5, something like that. So we just hung out there. Some of us were more energetic than others. That would be me. I was really excited, and I had no caffeine. I don't do caffeine. And then I'll see if we can put some of these pictures in. It was pretty funny. I'm sad I didn't bring my phone to take pictures or any video during the run. I would have liked to, but I didn't even think to bring an armband or something like that, and I really wish I would have. So we'll live and learn for next time. So then you had to walk. There were multiple gear check tents depending on your last name. It went, alphabetically. So you had to walk in between there to go to the porta potties. And I was like, oh, can I bring my gear check bag and then come back and drop it off? And they're like, yeah, no problem. So we went to the bathroom and then came back and dropped our gear check bag off. We just had to put a sticker with our first letter of your last name and your bib number on it, and then dropped that off. And then we had to walk to the starting line. I don't remember how far we walked. I want to say it was at least a half a mile. It was a long way away because it was you had to go down this side road with trees on either side. I'm sure it seemed longer than it was because it's the middle of the night and you can't see because it's winding, but we walked a long ways. I was very surprised by how far we had to go to get to the starting line. And then okay, we went in all of our corrals. That was a little confusing, like, because like some people were facing opposite directions, because I think it was like kind of like shaped like a U, where like these people go this way to start, and then these people had to go around to go that way. So we were in corral D, which was kind of in the middle-ish. And they had the Run Disney spokespeople, you know, up there and on camera, microphones, speakers, music, lasers, fireworks, all that kind of stuff. So they started with the wheelchair, pushchair division, and then, you know, they started with the corrals. I was a little confused because they had split some of the corrals up. So we were in D. So even if you account for the pushchair division, there should have been the pushchairs A, B, and C. So there should have been 4 before us. There was well over 6. So they must have been splitting the corrals up, but I don't understand how that happened because they never told us like where to go in your corral. We just like went in our corral. Okay, not really that big of a problem. So where the biggest problem came for us was they had pacers that run with the sign, and they have their approximate finish time at the top of their sign on like this little laminated like card thing. So I saw a pacer at one point. It was like a 2:20 pacer. I don't know where exactly they went, but I saw them like pass me when we were entering the corral. I saw them walk past me. Okay, here was the problem. The pacer was on the far right-hand side. I could see his sign. Nobody announced, like, okay, you should try and, like, find your approximate finish time and go by the pacers. The font on the sign was so little, and it was dark. You couldn't see the font on the sign anyway. So I had no idea. I mean, I see this pacer in front of me, but I have no idea if he's, like, faster or slower than me. I have no clue. So point of my story is we started way further back than we should have. We, by pace, were faster than the majority of the people in our corral ahead of us. I mean, we definitely should have started in front of Corral D, and I think we were more like to the mid-back of Corral D. And that was a really big pain. It was hard. We had to go around people a lot. And that added on quite a bit of extra distance. My husband's watch said that we ran like almost an extra quarter of a mile, which wouldn't surprise me because some of the roads are many, many lanes wide. Like going into the Magic Kingdom area, there is like 8 or 10 lanes wide. And not like we had to cross all 10 lanes to pass a person, but we were passing a lot of people. And that was a little disappointing because then it, you know, that adds on extra time and extra steps. And when you're running that far, you don't want to take a single extra step. So that was disappointing, but it was okay. There are porta potties along the race course, and when you're in a park, the bathrooms are open. We unfortunately stopped to go to the bathroom. It was a very quick stop though. We went under like I don't know if it's actually a bridge. I always think that it's not a bridge, but between Frontierland and Adventureland, we used those bathrooms. They were open. We went really quickly. Entering into the Magic Kingdom, I've always heard is like the highlight of the race. It totally is. It was amazing because it was still mostly dark and all of the lights on the shops on Main Street were on and the castle was lit up. It was so cool. It was very, very neat. There were lots of characters to take pictures. Unlike the last time, if you watched that video, it had been raining and there was almost nobody. That really, really stunk. Lots of people to take pictures. We didn't stop. The lines were pretty long, but at least it was entertainment. You know, you could see them. So that was very interesting. We just finished running through the castle at around 6 miles. And then it was already getting warm. They had told us beforehand that the temperature and humidity were expected to be higher than normal for that time of year. I'm like, oh, super, because I was kind of worried about it anyway, because I live in Wisconsin and trained in like below zero weather. So any weather is going to be, you know, warmer than what I trained in, and I don't do well in heat. So that definitely slowed me down a little bit. And you can tell in the pictures, my face was pretty red. But it wasn't anything serious. It's not like I had heat stroke or heat exhaustion or everything. I think it was just like, I think in the end I had a very, very mild form of heat exhaustion. My face was on fire the rest of the night and I had a headache that I couldn't kick, but nothing too terrible. The other thing that I would say was less than ideal. So the Pacers signs and not knowing where to go, I think they should have had bigger signs on the side saying like, okay, line up based on your assign or your expected finish time here. And then none of the they had no ice, maybe in the first aid tents, but like along the general like hydration stations, no ice, and none of the drinks were cold. At best, they were cool, but they were really room or like air temperature. And I was surprised, all of the water for the race was filled with individual bottles of Dasani water. They were probably like 1 liter bottles. They weren't like individual bottles, but still, I mean, it was pallets and pallets of water bottles. I was like, oh God, this is such a waste. I'm sure it was sponsored by Dasani, but it was a lot of water. So let's see, what else can I tell you? Lots of characters. In front of the wedding pavilion, that really cracked me up. In front of the wedding pavilion, they had set across the road because the Grand Floridian Polynesian Wedding Pavilion are on the left-hand side of the road, and then on the right-hand side of the road, they put like a wedding gazebo, and they had like 4 or 5 very attractive men in tuxedos standing in front for you to take pictures with. Like that was like the character, so it was kind of funny. There was a long line for that one. They were very attractive men, so it was that really cracked me up. I had to laugh at that. So yeah, then you head back you start kind of in front of Epcot, then you go past the TTC, run through the Grand Floridian, through the Magic Kingdom, and then you head back to Epcot, and then you do run through Epcot. So you don't go through Hollywood Studios or Animal Kingdom at all. We didn't go through World Showcase. I don't remember where we entered. I was already delusional at that point, because at that point it was after 11.5 miles by the time we enter Epcot. So it's not that much left to go. And then you run through Future World, and then you finish in the front of the park. Like you're not in the park. You finish where we got off the buses. And yeah, we got our finishers medals, which I will put a picture in. There's a different medal for each race. So they had a 5K, a 10K, and a half marathon, and they're each themed after a different princess. So ours is an apple. It's themed after Snow White. We also got a cooling towel, which was wet. So they said totally safe. So we saved both of ours, and picked up our gear check bag and stretched a little and got our goodie boxes, which had like a go-go squeeze applesauce. It had Oreos. It had a little thing of tortilla chips and cheese. These like fruit leather dot things. Those are pretty good. Yeah, and then they had the buses all lined up there for each hotel, and then they bring you back to the resort. So that was our experience running the race. I would definitely start further ahead next time, or like pay closer attention to the signs. Like I said, I didn't know that. I just didn't know. I didn't know. I would look closer, because it really sucks if you're behind a lot of people that are slower than you and they're slowing you down. That's really disappointing. We did bring our own Gatorade, and my husband carried that in a water belt. So we did have that. I'm glad I did that. I would do that every time, because I drink way more water than the average person, and the water stations in any race are just not enough for me. I mean, not like I would die if I didn't have them, but you know, I would really struggle without that. So and we actually even filled, I drank at every water station. I drank the entire water bottle and then filled. I had brought a little, tiny little zippy bag of Gatorade powder, and we refilled the water bottle. So I drank at least 1.5 bottles in addition to at every water station. And I did also bring energy chews that I took beforehand. And I don't know if I took them during the race at all. My supply, they gave us some during the race too, and I took that. Those were beans. They gave us sport beans. They're like jelly beans, but they have like electrolytes in them. And I've had those before too. So that's what they handed out during the race. Oh, I should say, I don't remember what they handed out for beverages other than water. I don't remember if it was Powerade or something. It was clear, and I want to say it was like a cherry flavor. It was clear and it was pretty watered down. Most of the time I drank water because I had my own Gatorade and I was worried about my stomach, but I did try what they had like once and it was fine. It didn't bother me at all, and I didn't have a problem with the flavor. I thought it tasted fine. So yeah, those are our experiences running the race. I definitely want to do it again. I definitely preferred this to the Wine and Dine Half Marathon, but when we did the Wine and Dine Half Marathon, it rained the entire time, and it didn't rain this time, so that was nice. I wish I had brought sunglasses. I didn't think of that with the sun coming up because it was dark when we started, but yeah, those are my experiences. So I hope you guys found this helpful, and thank you so much for watching. Bye.